The other half of the autonomic nervous system is the sympathetic nervous system. We call this the fight or flight state. It is our instinctual survival mechanism that responds to any form of stress or life-threatening signal. It activates our primal genes by stimulating our adrenals, which raises blood glucose, and activates our motor functions to give us more energy and strength to defend ourselves. Our bodies literally cannot differentiate between, say, something like a bank mortgage and running from a saber-toothed tiger. And for some of us, it probably feels quite similar sometimes. It is actually the same as having fire alarm bells going off in our bodies, and it has an overriding effect on our hormone system. When someone is triggered into the fight or flight state too often and for extended periods of time, then all of their housekeeping functions, which includes hormone balance, will struggle to self-regulate because the wrong operating system is on. Think of it like trying to use a Windows program on an Apple computer. There's nothing wrong with the program, it's just not compatible with that system. So there are so many triggers in our modern life that will activate this fight or flight state. And you might be surprised just how common these triggers are. For example, just pushing yourself when you are tired is actually enough to switch on the adrenals to get you through the rest of the day. Even simply driving in traffic, we often underestimate just how taxing this daily activity is. Doing any task with a sense of urgency or chasing those familiar deadlines. Exposure to substances that we don't tolerate well. This will alert the body to a threatening signal. Emotional traumas are a big one. Emotions are deeply impactful on the nervous system and often have a lasting effect. Any kind of negative thought actually involving a form of fear or concern will do it as well. Taking on too much of a workload. And staying in toxic relationships actually are a huge burden and often not acknowledged due to keeping appearances. Over multitasking is another common one these days. And let's not forget that bank balance that's often nipping at our heels. So we can see it's quite impossible to avoid many of these sources of stress on any given day. Therefore, by default then, we are frequently switching on our alarm bells every time we need to jump through the next hoop in order to keep up with this modern life. That's quite a realization, isn't it? These very common elements of our daily life are directly interfering with our body's ability to balance itself and our hormones. And if that wasn't enough, there are often also hidden stress factors we need to consider. They are described as forms of metabolic stress. When present, they will sabotage many patients' best efforts considerably due to overactivating their nervous system. The most common of these metabolic pathways are known as methylation and pyroluria. They compromise the body's ability to supply enough neurotransmitters for our brain chemistry to feel balanced. In essence, keeping you stuck in the fight or flight state, despite how much meditation you may be doing on the beach. So we can begin to appreciate the injustice of blaming our organs for what's going wrong, just because they are the areas of the body presenting with uncomfortable symptoms. When we look deeper, we will usually find a combination of stress patterns that are particular to the individual that are interfering with the function of the gland, and the symptoms are simply an indication that it is struggling to defend itself from the impact of the stress.